Good morning, good afternoon, everyone, my digital CEOs. Welcome to the show. This is the Rise of the Digital CEO 2024. This is a training that we've now done for several years, and it's the best effort that I can possibly make for you to filter and condense 17 years of online business experience in multiple different niches, multiple different businesses following one model, which is selling digital products. My secret intention is that you're a completely different person at the end of these 7 days. I get to share with you what today's biggest industry leaders are doing differently that you really can't see if you're just following them on social media. These are all the things that are under the surface in order to gain traction, move the needle, and fall back in love with your business. I'm going to give you my 7-figure business operating system so that you can drastically simplify your business, work less, and yes, believe it or not, make more. One of my favorite things to teach you guys is going to be the art and science of turning whatever type of digital product that you have or want to have into an irresistible offer that practically sells itself. That's going to be the difference that makes the difference for you. And in 1 week from now, you're going to walk away with a real, tangible action plan for putting that irresistible offer in front of more people so you can experience more profit, more growth, and something that's near and dear to all of us here, more impact. To get paid to help people is a pretty huge thing. I would like to ask you to try on the idea, the notion that how you experience this training, how you go through this content will be in a way a reflection of how you yourself show up in your own business. Now that might be challenging or hard for some of you, but if you're willing to do that, then I can guarantee you're going to be able to see something that you haven't been able to see. I understand what it's like because I was in a place for so long where I struggled. 4.5 years. I love to brag about how I struggled longer than most people, but I didn't give up. And there were things I couldn't see about myself and how I showed up in my business that we call business blind spots, how we get in our own way. It took me a really long time to begin looking inward, to begin looking at how I myself was showing up in the business. And when that awareness was cultivated, that's when the growth really started happening. And so I want you to have that type of growth too. I want this to not just be giving you a clear plan for what to do in your business. I don't want to just share with you really cool things that you can do in your marketing to make more sales, but I want to give you the opportunity, of course it'll be up to you, I can't do this for you, to have your own personal transformation of your life, that you grow as a human being. Because I'm just going to say something bottom line. The people today that are most successful with their digital products, selling the course, selling the membership, are successful, yes, because they have a plan. Yes, because they're running the business the proper way. But there's a third reason, because they've stepped into a role of powerful leadership that has other people say, I want to follow that person. More so today than ever before are people looking for their lighthouse. They're looking for leadership. They're looking for guidance. They're looking to have their own growth, and they need people to show the way. And so if I can do that for you so that you can do that for a heck of a lot of people, then I feel like I've done something meaningful and full of purpose in my life. And that's what really, really drives me today. And so hopefully you are the type of person that's willing to let go of what no longer serves you and let in what you truly deserve and what your business needs from you. We tend to see two groups of people or entrepreneurs that are in one of two phases currently when they show up to this training. We're going to call this first phase 1. This is like where you're coming from. I'm like rather new to this. I'm just getting started. Maybe you're asking yourself or asking me questions like, James, just tell me where to begin. What do I do first? Okay. You might still have little to no audience right now, so there's really no traction, and it feels like I just don't have a plan to profitability yet. Now, if you are number one, that's fantastic. I got you. But here's my first advice for you: stop calling yourself a newbie. Because as you're going to learn today, what you say after I am is really powerful, and your audience and your people, your customers and clients don't need a newbie, they need you. So we don't need to use the word newbie. You're just someone in this first phase that would be nice to have a little bit more guidance, right? Now, what's phase number 2? Well, you've learned a thing or two. You've been doing this for some time. You're so awesome. High five to you. But maybe we've sensed like a little bit of a plateau. Like you're working the plan, but the plan ain't working. At least it's not matching up with the level of expectations of what you want. Or, I got you, maybe things are humming along. You're just like rocking and rolling. but there's some part of you that has a sense, a knowing that there's still more left. There's more of an opportunity. There's your next breakthrough right around the corner. Forbes did a statistic a couple years ago, and it said 8 out of 10 businesses fail within the first 18 months. And they said the number one reason why those businesses fail is because they never had a plan to produce predictable profitability or revenue within the business. So that's usually a good place to start. I'm going to give you that simple plan to profitability right now. If you want it, let me know you're ready, and I'll give it to you right out of the gate. However, it does come with one little disclaimer right now. I'm going to throw a lot at you right here, right now. So you need a simple plan. Here's what I've been doing and teaching for, I think, like over a decade. TLC. Every business could use a little TLC. Tender loving care and traffic, leads, and customers. You need all three. And we're going to go backwards because Stephen Covey, the author of 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, said, begin with the end in mind. So we get customers from our leads, and we get leads from our traffic. And this is the sequence. This is the order in which you go. This is a flow. We're getting traffic by getting eyeballs and exposure. We're turning as many of those we can into leads, and then we turn those leads into customers, and we want to do that over and over and over again. This is very simple. Let me know that you at least understand this as a concept. You don't need to go into the how, because we can F the how for now. So how do we get those customers? Well, first and foremost, we need to craft your most irresistible offer. If you have an offer that people don't want, you ain't gonna make any sales. Training 2, which is Tuesday, the 11th, I believe. The days have all blended together. I'm gonna do a deep dive with you on the art and science of crafting your irresistible offer. There's a lot of really great, amazing, huge-hearted coaches out there that are not making money, even though they have something that will help you, because there's a difference between your course, or your product, or your group coaching program and how you position it as an irresistible offer. And far too often, people have amazing stuff, but haven't positioned it properly. We got to fix that. And that's happening on training too. Now, the next thing, and you might as well write this down, is my digital product will not sell itself, okay? We are not Kevin Costner, and this ain't Field of Dreams. And if you're still following the strategy of, if I build it, they will come, you were lied to. Oh my gosh. No, if you build it, they will not come. It's if you market the spitola out of it. This is why each and every one of you also, when you work with me, we're going to come up with your unique sales system. The sales system is your 24/7 salesperson to sell the irresistible offer. That's what also creates our leads, turns them into customers. Then we just need the third component, which is the T, the tender loving traffic. Now, this is going to be really simple, and we will get into all of this through this training. But look how simple this can be. We need to get traffic, inviting people to our unique sales system to sell our irresistible offer. There's really 2 ways to do this on the internet for us: creating content and paying for ads. Now, I'm going to talk to you guys about both of those. There isn't one is better than the other, because in order to get what you want out of life and out of business, it's going to cost something. And it either takes our time and energy or our money. Now, I'm a fan of both, because if you sent me to Las Vegas and you put me in front of a slot machine, and every time I put $1 into that slot machine, I got $10 back, you'd have to carry me out there with 2 huge security guards. Otherwise, I'm going to keep putting that money in that slot machine. And this is an ROI. So we want to ROI on our time and our money. So I'm going to show you how to do both of those. If you keep things simple, you will do it. And if you do it, you will get the results. So this can be even more simple. Attract our audience, attract your people, and sell them what they already want. That's TLC. Now I just brought it down. Attract your people. That's traffic and leads. Sell them what they already want, customers. Is that simple? Yes. F the how for now, and we'll get into the specifics. But if you're missing one of these, now you know why something's off. Okay. Something's not working. Okay, here's the cause. Here's what's going on. Because at the end of the day, I look at my gifts. What can I do for people that really makes the difference? And I think one of the things that's really served me, and it's really the subtext of this training, it's like the unspoken piece of this, is that if you can effectively and successfully and accurately diagnose the problems or symptoms in your business, you're unstoppable. The problem is when we don't know what's causing the problems. So the problems you're actually facing in your business are a symptom. they're not necessarily the root cause. And most people make the wrong assumption or wrong diagnosis about what the cause is. And then they start taking actions and go further and further in the wrong direction. So being able to be an expert, masterful diagnostician, I think I kind of made that word up, in your business, or said more simply, to be the business whisperer, I like that better, is going to be really beneficial. So chances are you're missing one of those pieces, the TLC, if you're in phase 2, or the performance is subpar. Now, here's what we need to start looking at, whether you like it or not, because this is kind of what I mentioned when we started. Is this solution for you is a focus on how the business itself operates and how you, yes, let's grab that mirror, because we need to take a look at ourselves, how you operate within that business to increase performance. And that's exactly what we're going to be doing both of these two things throughout the remainder of this training, okay? So this is important because what I'm always doing is looking back at what got me here, what caused so many of the results for me, and it's not exclusively, but has a huge role in the fact that I have continued to grow myself, and I've seen that growth ripple out into the growth of the business. And this is why I say your business is a reflection of you. If you really think about it, if we took a snapshot of your business where it is today, right? Just there it is. Is it not true that it's the sum total of all the choices that you've made? The choices that you didn't make, the actions you did take, the actions you didn't take, how you're driving the bus, how you're steering the ship. And so what is informing those decisions? Where are those actions coming from? And this tends to be the last place that we look. So your business is a reflection of you, which is a really good thing because you're far more in the driver's seat than maybe you even realized. And when we start to have a shift and a breakthrough, then maybe we can see that reflected in the business as well. That's what I'm in the business of breakthroughs. And that's what this is all about. So what is a breakthrough? I want to talk about this for a moment because this is what really excites me. Here's my definition. A breakthrough is not something you do. I'm not thinking like, I'm going to break through this wall, literally. Rather, a breakthrough is something that happens to you. Now, as I go through this, I want anyone who has had this experience already, it doesn't have to be in business, anywhere in your life, to let me know in the comment box. This is this thing that happens. It's a moment of time where how you see everything, like your business, yourself, your offers, your audience, all of it now occurs to you completely differently. And I want you to write this down. You see things differently, and how you see business will determine what's possible for you. Makes sense, right? I want to give you guys a quick little exercise. So if you have something to write, either in your workbook or just a piece of paper or wherever you're getting your thoughts out, externalizing this, this would be a great place to do this. I want you to see if you can just take a look back and look at a mental picture or a mental movie of your mind over your past 6 months. You know, it's June, so we're at the halfway mark of 2024. And I'm wondering if outside of yourself, you can see yourself over the past 6 months, from January, February, March, April, May. What do you see and what do you notice as you're observing your past self working? How have you been showing up in your business? When you're observing your past self working, what do you see? What do you notice? And I'm wondering, and you know, if it helps to close your eyes and get still for a moment, but this is a really important opportunity to just look back and recapitulate on what do I notice about how I have shown up. There's no judgment, okay? There's no right or wrong, but it is about an objective observation of the past, a past version of you. And if you can encapsulate what you notice into a word, a phrase, or emotion, do that for me now. And then do me a favor and type that into the chat box. Now, this is also, as we just go full steam ahead, I'm not looking for someone to impress everybody in the room. This is not a place where, look how smart I am, look at how perfect I am. This is actually a place of vulnerability, authenticity, and honesty, accuracy. So if there's a word or phrase of the theme of how you've shown up over the last 6 months. How did business occur to that version of you? I know it's kind of a weird question, but how did that business occur? How did that business occur to that person? Put the word or phrase. How does business occur? When you look at it, when that past version of you looks at it, how does it occur to that person? I've really asked you 2 things, a theme of how you've showed up and how that occurred to that person. I want you to see if you can see and notice already the correlation between the two. You know, business is beautiful because it gives us freedom to do what we want, how we want to do it, to make more money and work where we want, all these things that we want. And then, of course, there's that impact. But business can also be tough. So you need to be tougher. And if we're not working through our own levels of growth, then we only grow to the level of problems that we can handle. Does that make sense? So throughout this training, there's going to be an opportunity for you to have a shift in how things occur to you now. If things have been occurring to you as intimidating or too overwhelming or too stressful or too scary or too this, then that's probably going to take us down. But if before the end of this training, you could have a complete shift, a complete paradigm shift in how business occurs to you, then you might just have a little bit of a breakthrough. And that's what I want for all of you. A breakthrough in our business occurs when we have completely changed the rules of the game, and it's like we defy time. We defy logic and we defy reason. I talk about this and I get so excited about this because that has been my 17-year journey. This is an actual chart done the best of my ability to break down in like a proper ratio, if you will, of the major breakthroughs that I've had since I started business. You can see at each one of these like little explosion points, there was a huge stair-step jump in revenue. And I've even put those numbers on there. The first was, it was 4.5 years of 0 to 280. Then I went from 280 to 1.2 in 1 year, went from 1.2 to 2.2, and then we took the business from 2.2 to 10 million in 1 single year. These are what the breakthroughs in business have looked like in my life and in my career. There is a story for each one of these because there's a lesson for you in each one of these. And this is what I get so jazzed about. You guys experiencing your next quantum leap in revenue, in sales, and in impact. Is that something you guys want? I went to film school. Jenni and I, who's here with me, Jenni Finley, went to film school, one of the top 10 film schools in the country, and I fell in love with visual storytelling, making videos. And it was 2011 when I had the light bulb idea to create an online course for $97 on how to teach other people how to do that. And that's where that first line is. So I did the majority of this selling $97 courses, working just a few hours a day. And it wasn't until a couple years ago that I said, I want to do more with this work. And that's where Business by Design and the Rise of the Digital CEO was born. And that's what I do today. So I hung up the video marketing hat and I started teaching what we do today. There's one model that I've built a life and business by design from, and that is the model of information products. The digital product or information marketing space, selling of a course, a membership, a group coaching, you get the idea, is still today hands down the most profitable business model. It's the most scalable business model, and without a shadow of a doubt, is the most fulfilling business model. This is the model where we get to take your wisdom, your experience, your IP, your intellectual property, create it, package it together, and get it into the hands of thousands. Create something once and get it into the hands of thousands. And unlike the majority of any other businesses, we don't need all these startup costs, fixed goods, warehouse, manufacturing, or a staff of a ton of employees. And the scalability and the growth that is available to all of you is unbelievable. And last year we added over 25% in our revenue to take the company to over $12 million. And I'm amazed how much opportunity that there still is. Influencer Marketing Hub estimates the creator economy is worth over $104 billion. The e-learning industry has grown by over 900% since 2020, and it's estimated to be worth $325 billion by 2025. Kajabi is the software that we use to host everything. I just got the update from them. Now they're up to 75 million students from their creators. So 60,000 creators serving 75 million students. And Kajabi creators have generated a combined total of $7 billion in sales. So it's a very, very exciting time. But, you know, despite this, I am actually, interestingly enough, seeing more and more people that are coming to me and reaching out to me and finding me because they're struggling and they're failing. And a lot of people that are coming to me ready to give up. And I almost gave up myself, so I feel you. I almost gave up a lot of times. It didn't happen overnight. So why? Why can this landscape exist where the people that are doing it are absolutely crushing it and there's so much opportunity, and then still so many people struggle? Business growth happens in stages. This is important because some of you guys have been getting great advice at the wrong time. Business growth happens in stages because at every stage there are different needs of the business. Your business has needs. It needs the right target, like what to focus on, the right plan, and it needs you showing up the right way, okay? So when we understand this might be the reason why some of us have plateaued. That's why you hear me say all the time, what got you here won't get you there. So this first piece is, can you see the value? I'm going to take you to a very specific moment in time. The year was 2013. That is crazy that is over a decade ago. Back in 2013, I had built a $1.2 million a year business selling my $97 online course and a $50 a month membership teaching video. And I was rocking and rolling. I mean, all this explosive growth. And I started making a mistake, a big, big, big mistake. And if we're going to talk about breakthroughs, guess what we have to talk about first? Breakdowns, because that's what happened to me. In fact, it was February of 2013, and I get a phone call that I'll never forget. It was from my CPA. We always love our CPA phone calls, don't we? She goes, James, yes, CPA, I've got a good news, bad news phone call for you. Look, I'm a really optimistic, happy, positive guy. Give me the good news. She goes, well, January was your highest revenue month in a non-launch promotion month. There's just money that came in. That's amazing. She goes, yeah, you did just over $70,000 in January. This is incredible. What could possibly be the bad news? Well, you spent more than that. Now, I can remember where I was standing. I was living in Laguna Beach at the time, and I had my little bachelor pad house. And I dropped to my knees, and I had what felt like a panic attack because my heart started racing. I got tunnel vision, and everything else that she was saying just went, and I couldn't hear anything else. And the reason that this took me down so fast and so hard, which I kind of only realized in hindsight, was there was a thought that all of a sudden got amplified and charged. I started powering up, giving my power to this thought. And it was this thought that it just kind of went on loop. That was, this is it. This is over. It's a good ride, but you knew it. You knew it wasn't going to last. And here it is, the beginning of the end. I hope you enjoyed the ride. It's a really interesting thing. We're going to talk about this in Training 3. The moment you say, I'm going to go and start my own business. You know, I love that quote that entrepreneurship is doing what most others won't so that you can live a life that most others can't. And it's very true, because one of the biggest things that most people are unwilling to do is face their fears. And the moment you chose a path of entrepreneurship, whether you realize it consciously or not, you're choosing to face certain fears, because there is something about stepping into the spotlight, stepping into your authority, to putting yourself out there to face rejection, ridicule, all that type of stuff. And then you start doing something. And this fear emerges. And it's this fear of, what if this doesn't work? What if I'm just going in the wrong direction? What if this is a waste of my time? This fear that drives it's in the background of us building a business. We're building something while simultaneously saying, but what if it doesn't work? But what if I can't create it? What if I, and we're creating from fear. Now, if you can still find a way to manage and navigate that and get something out there, then what inevitably happens, because your success is inevitable, is that something starts to happen, a result. Oh my gosh, I got a client, I'm making sales, this is happening. The fear's gone. I have no more fear because I have money in the bank account now, I have results. No, the fear isn't gone, it's just replaced. And it gets replaced with a new fear. A fear like, what if it's only a matter of time? What if this is a fluke? Like I had accidental, like maybe I just won the lottery once, but I couldn't possibly replicate this, because this is where I was. I had the fear of what if this doesn't work, but now I would realize life, the universe, gave me this beautiful experience by saying, you still got the fear, kid, and now I'm going to put it on the jumbotron of your mind so you can see it loud and clear. And I realized that fear had been there in the background, kind of like the hum of an air conditioner, which isn't, you're not consciously aware of it until you get quiet and silent enough to see that it was there the whole time. That has led me to something of a piece of life wisdom that has really served me. That if your business is a reflection of you, and if you grow, the business grows, then what's our way through growth? The way to grow is through the problems that we face. And really, when it comes down to it, pain and problems, as hard as that can be, and this is not just being, Pollyanna here, is they're really a blessing for us, because the pain that we go through, and I'm just going to keep it in the context of business, of course. You can apply it to other areas of your life if you'd like, is telling us where we need to pay attention to. Business is a never-ending set of undulating, inevitable problems, things that don't work, things that did work and stop working, things that break, all that type of stuff. Some are big problems, some are little problems, some are persistent problems, and then the question becomes, how's it going avoiding them? How's that working for you? Because that's what I was doing. I didn't want to look at the problems in my business, and I thought, if now that I have money, I can just throw money at the problem, it will go away. How was that working for me? Well, my CPA just told me, because that's how I lost all that money. I wasn't buying Lamborghinis, so I'm just trying to throw money at the problem. Oh, you can do it for me? You can fix this? And okay, how much? $5,000? Okay, here. Oh, and you need $5,000? And I'm throwing money at the problems. I'm turning my back to it, and the problem just gets bigger. And I love this little quote about life, that first God throws a pebble. Of course, we don't really pay attention. It's a pebble. What's the harm of a pebble? So you didn't pay attention. So then you get the rock. And if you're still not paying attention, you get the big old boulder. This was my boulder moment. This is my wake-up call. And that's why the pain and problems in our business can be such a blessing, because I was at a crossroads. Succumb to the fear. Give up. Close the doors. Or find a way. I was not about to give up. But how we look at problems is we think a problem means now I can't get what I want. And what we know to be true, which is law, which is fact, is a problem cannot exist without the solution also existing. Every problem, this is law, every problem has a solution. And that's really beautiful. And this is also why I say your business will grow to the level of problems that you can handle. Because what I see is becomes the point that we really do separate the successful from the unsuccessful. As soon as it gets hard, as soon as there's a problem, most people, this is where they give up. And I go, this is how we find a way. This is where the gold is. This is where the answers are. This is where the innovation, creativity, and divergent thinking, this is where the breakthrough is, because you got to have the breakdown, and then what's on the other side? We get a huge breakthrough. And I was moments away after this breakdown to have a huge, huge breakthrough. And it all started with Legos. I was gifted a Lego set. Now, I was still fuming by all the things I was dealing with in my business. So I remember looking at the picture of the box and then looking at what I built. And I go, look, that wasn't hard. You just follow the directions and you get the picture on the box. How come the people I'm paying, how come the people I'm giving money to, how come the people that I'm hiring to help me can't just follow the instructions? I mean, if you look at this thing, if any of you, do we have any A-falls? Do we have any A-falls in the room? Adult fan of Legos? Then you know that or you've helped your kids build their Legos, step by step by step by step. And I built that. Look at that. Every year today, by the way, we build, it's a tradition with our team, we build a new Lego set. So we got R2 this year. So I'm saying, why can't my team do this? Why can't the people I'm hiring to help me do this? And I had this silly little thought, oh, because I didn't give them the instruction manual. This is when the light bulb happened. This is when the breakthrough happened that forever changed the trajectory of my life, and I believe has really helped a tremendous amount of other people as well. And it started with a question because Richard Bandler is the founder of NLP, Neuro-Linguistic Programming, said the quality of your life is determined by the quality of questions you ask. And I asked a very simple question. I go, what if I could do this for my business? What if I could put the Lego instruction manual in my business? That's exactly what I did. So at the time, I was using a very simple webinar model to sell my products. So I sat down and I said, I'm going to map this out step by step. Fun fact, does anyone know how many steps are involved in creating a webinar campaign? Probably not. It's 77. 77 individual steps on how to create a webinar. From the registration page, the thank you page, the email reminders, the tags, all of that, right? 77 steps. I know because I did it and I documented it. Here's what I did next. I took this little document. It was like on a Google Doc with screenshots and arrows. And I went over to a little website. You're going to hear me say it multiple times, so don't worry. onlinejobs.ph. And I found a virtual assistant who I'd never met before. I was like, you don't know me. I don't know you. I didn't give any training. I just said, I need you to do this. And I handed it off to them. 36 hours later, less than 2 days, I got an email in my inbox saying, here it is, and it's all done. Click on the link. It's my webinar registration page. I opt in. Boom, I'm taken to the thank you page. Boom, tag added. Put in my CRM. Reminder emails. Register to the Zoom call. Oh my goodness. That was like massive because with a virtual assistant, you're paying a fraction of the price. They did it in a couple hours. They followed the step by step, and it was done. That year, I saved my company and brought it back to a 50% profit margin and then took it to 2.2 million. 2 years later, we were at 10 million in revenue a year. And I attribute it all to this one simple philosophy. The more structure you have in your business, the more freedom you get back in your life. The more structure you put into your business, the more freedom you have in your life. And if there's no structure, then it's you all the time, only you. And that's wonderful, but how sustainable is that? And this is what happens to people when it's not working. They start to resent their business, themselves. They get tired, and they're hitting very fast that burnout breakdown wall. I do not want that for you guys. So that was huge. Now, I didn't stop there. Around that same time, I had a friend come out and stay with me. And she was staying in this little bachelor pad. We had like a little casita. This is like Spanish for a small house. A separate little apartment on the property. And so she stayed there. And after about 4 or 5 days of her visiting, she finally stopped me because I'm just doing my thing. I'm living my life. And she's like, can I just, like, what do you do all day? I was like, what? And she's like, well, I saw you go surfing in the morning, and then you surfed in the afternoon again, and then you were hanging out. Well, do you even work in your business? I said, well, of course I do. And she goes, I've been here every day, and I've barely seen you work, and I'm working 7 days a week, 10 to 12 hours a day. And she goes, you're making over $1 million. At the time I went to 2, and she goes, I'm making 200K. She goes, will you help me? So, sure, she's a friend. I said, of course. So I started sharing her a lot of what we're teaching here and what you're going to learn. And, showed her a couple of things. Long story short, I get a voice chat from her a month later, like at the end of the next month. And she's in tears. She goes, we just did 200,000 in this last month. That's what she had done the entire year. 9 months later, she hit $1 million and then built a multiple 7-figure business off of that. She was doing the same things, but she simplified the business and changed the way that she runs it, which again is more evidence to this theory that there's a correlation with the health and how we run our business and how far we can take it and how much it can grow. So that's when the next light bulb occurred to me. I said, well, if this is helping me and it's clearly helping some other people, what if I could create these Lego instruction manuals for other entrepreneurs and business owners? That's exactly what I did. So I went to work putting all of this together, how to step-by-step instruction manuals and execution guides for landing pages, for any type of promotion you've ever seen, for creating content, for every piece of your business. And that's what Business by Design became. It's not a course. It's not 101 videos to watch. Here's all the things you need to do that you haven't been doing as you sit here watching 1,000 videos. It is the instruction manuals that your business needs. It's the structure your business needs. And I really believe that it's why we can have such a breadth of training here, such a holistic approach, because you're going to leave all of this with such clarity that those that just, you can create your own SOPs and step-by-step execution guides, or you can come work with us inside BBD and I just hand you ours. Then you can grab them, do them yourself if you're brand new, or you can start to hand them off to a virtual assistant, to a teammate, to a friend, little Billy down the street, or your spouse. That's what we've been able to do with our students for thousands of years, and it's built an incredible community. Remember I said the first reason why we see so many people struggle is that they don't really know how to run a business, and I want to help you with all of that. But there's another reason, and this is our own unwillingness to grow, change, and adapt. And I see that so much. Your business is in a new phase, but you want to continue doing what you've always done. And I don't know if you knew this, but if you continue to do what you've always done, you'll only get what you've only gotten. And so for most people, they're unwilling to look at that reflection. They're unwilling to look at themselves, and they're unwilling to adapt or change, or rather give the business now what it needs. And so my question for you, and I want you to journal on this and then post it in the chat box for me, because I'd like you to consider your business has needs. So what does your business need right now that maybe you've been hesitating to give it? What need of your business has not been met yet? When you have an answer, write it down, and then I would love for you guys to share that in the chat box. This is an opportunity for you guys to see something, like I said, a blind spot. What does your business need that I have been unwilling or have not realized I need to give it? See how far you can go with this, see if you can get more specific, and see if this is something that you could start to give it immediately, okay? So with those two reasons out of the way, one of the things I want to talk about, it's kind of at the risk of using a cliche metaphor here, but what then happens is people are trying to figure out this business from the outside in, and they're only observing and modeling what they see above the surface in our iceberg metaphor. And so what you'll see is go, oh, that person did a webinar, oh, that person did a channel, oh, this person's doing this on Instagram, I'll do that. And they're just following that last 10% of what they see above the surface. And I'm here to tell you, because I love this beautiful quote, that the cause is hidden and only the effect is visible to all. So what you see above the surface is the effect. But if we're not able to go underneath the surface, then we don't really see the hidden, invisible factors, invisible to the public eye, that are causing those results. And that's where I want to be playing with you guys as much as possible. Stop looking to what you think you know because you saw somebody else do it or you're seeing it on the surface, and let's go somewhere deeper. And doing this, spending our time here, I will need your permission to talk about a few things that will appear at first like it has nothing to do with business. Is that cool? Because, like I said before, if our business is a reflection of you, it's the sum of our thinking, our choices, our actions, your energy, and your frequency, okay? So It starts with a question. Quality of your life is determined by the quality of questions you ask. So here's a great question. How do seven-figure digital CEOs actually become that seven-figure digital CEO? Now, you could do another number. You could do eight-figure, multiple six. That's totally up to you. In order to do this, I want to break down a really powerful set of distinctions, which is a technology, if you will, for causing change in your life. This is something called the logical levels. It was originally created by Gregory Bateson back in the 50s or 60s, and it was popularized, so I'm going to go to this camera, and it was popularized by Robert Dilts in the 80s. And when I first started to understand this was really powerful for me, and what we're going to do is put this all in an environment and context of you in your business. And there's an opportunity, because there's going to be some homework on this, so pay really close attention for a massive shift. So we're going to start at the bottom and go up. And the first thing we're going to put here down at the bottom is environment. This bottom rung, we will say, is like, environment is the snapshot of your business. If we took a moment in time snapshot of your business, what would that camera capture? These are the things that are rather tangible, like the assets that you have. Like, we have a website, we have a funnel, we have a this, we have this many leads, we have this social presence, we've got this podcast. We have this much money, we're this profitable. It's like kind of like what a CPA or a bookkeeper would do, like looking at all the money and stuff like that. So this is our environment. And when we go and attend a training like this, I'm assuming we want to have a little change in environment. Yes, is that true? We want some more things over here. I want some more money and some more audience and some more reach. Okay, so I got you. So then what do? We go one rung up to something that we'll label as behaviors. This is what we're doing, right? If I do something, I can get a result. That makes sense, right? If I want a particular result, usually an action is required. So then what we do is we attend the training, we hire the coach, or we do the course, and we say, tell me what to do. James, just tell me what to do. I want to know what to do. And they're like, I don't get it. I'm doing all the things, and this isn't changing. And that's because the majority and the most powerful factor and variable for change exists here. Have you ever heard the phrase that the doing is only as good as the being doing the doing? The doing is only as good as the being doing the doing. All of this beyond this line is where we start to go inward. You can watch and see what someone does all day long, but we have a really hard time seeing with the naked eye what's going on here. So one rung up here is skills and capabilities. Now, if any of you have been following me for some time, then you know that 2 years and 1 month ago, I decided to pick up an electric guitar for the first time and start playing. And good Lord, am I awful. However, I'm a lot better today than I was last year or the year before. I have made improvement, but I've also learned how bad I am and how much more. Give me 10 years, okay? Give me 10 years. And if you could imagine what would happen if I just went to like open mic night, or if you went open mic night and you've never played the guitar before and you're like, I'm just going to play, you'd probably get booed off the stage. People would not be happy. They'd throw the rotten tomatoes at you because the skill level is low. This makes sense, right? So someone might be doing the behaviors, but with a really low skill level. Well, I don't know how many of you have had this experience, but a lot of struggling entrepreneurs come to me after hiding in their cave of shame, because they did their first launch promotion campaign, video, piece of content, and it just tanked. It was awful. Anybody? And they went and hid, and they're mortified, and they're like, no one likes me. I'm no good at this. Oh my gosh, this is awful. And no one told you that everything that we're doing, everything that you're going to learn from me, everything that is required for your business is simply a set of skills. Marketing is a skill. Selling is a skill. Teaching, skill. Coaching, skill. Being a personal brand, skill. They're all skills. And if you're brand new and you haven't been doing it for very long, and someone just said, do it, and so I go, I know what to do, but I've never done it before, then you haven't mastered the skill. What'd you think was going to happen? Because I'm not going onto an open mic night stage and thinking I'm going to get a standing ovation and get roses thrown on stage. I'm here today because I logged the hours and took the time. And there are certain skills that some of you have been avoiding that you cannot avoid if you want to be successful in this business. We're going to go over these skills. You're going to learn these skills. And guess what we're going to do to get better at them? You're going to practice. This is one of the biggest reasons why people give up so fast, because they do it once. It doesn't work. No, you just sucked at it. So get better. Let's improve our skill. And then that you see in the same vein, you see somebody that was at it and at it and at it, and then it finally started working. Because they put in the time, they practiced, they got better. And how many of us are then, this was me for 4 years, okay, so I'm with you, are like, here's the football field, and you're still on the sidelines, thinking you're going to get great on the sidelines before you ever get in the game. Your ego has totally tricked you. Maybe I'll get really good before I get in the game, so then when I get in the game, I win. How's that working for you? These are skills. Okay. Making sense? Hopefully, yes. Now, we're going to go up. Boop, boop, boop. The next level, we're going to talk about beliefs. This is a huge piece for me. This is huge because, oh my gosh, look at the word. It's an interesting word, isn't it? A belief, we can say, is a thought that we no longer think about. It becomes a perspective, an idea that is now solidified within our mind as a model, a building brick of our world, of our perception, and beliefs to all of you, including me, exist not as beliefs, but as the way it is. James, this is the way it is. I want to see if any of you guys, because we can crowdsource, one person's breakthrough becomes everyone's breakthrough. What do you think is a belief that you have held on to about business that has driven and created the environment you have that has held you back in some way? Maybe it's a belief about sales. Maybe it's a belief about what could happen to your business. There's two types of beliefs I'm going to give you some clues here. The first one is an equivalence belief. When anytime we say blank is blank. This is blank. Sales is blank. Money is blank. Asking for money is blank. Promoting yourself is blank. Put those limiting beliefs in the chat box because someone else is going to go, wait, that's a limiting belief? Yes. And then this is something causes that. Or if this, then that. So if I do this, people will hate me, reject me, ridicule me, laugh at me. If I do this, it will fail. So these become these thoughts that we no longer think about. They just become, that's just the way it is. We don't think about the thoughts that we're having, and we believe what we're thinking. And then these beliefs determine whether we adopt the skills required or not, or what skills we do acquire. They drive our actions, and inevitably, this is how we wind up this way. How'd I wind up this way? How'd I get here? We're starting to get more of a clue. Is this making sense? Let me know, let me know, let me know. You guys are going to go through an exercise at the end of this that will really anchor this for you guys. At the top, we have identity. Identity, I'm going to look at it from two ways. This is both at a subjective and objective identity. There is the I am, and there's a lot of objective identity. Like if you have kids, then you are a parent. That's not your opinion, and that's not a belief. You are a parent. You know, you are a husband, wife, spouse, brother, sister, human being, or spiritual being having a human experience. I am blank. But we also have these more distorted and subjective I am beliefs. Like, I am not good enough. I am not enough. I am a newbie. See? I am not important. I am not worth their time. Now, you don't have to share it if you don't want to, but I at least want you to write down which of those I ams have started to feed a lot of our actions in our life. I hope you're getting how this starts to work, because if someone said, I'm no good, I can't do this, I am not cut out for this, then that starts to form the beliefs. Therefore, it won't work. Therefore, I'll just fail. Therefore, this would be a waste of time. A lot of these therefores. So there's no point in developing the skills and getting good at this, so I'm not going to do the things. And we can see how that winds up in our environment. Now, making sense, right? Because I'm going to do one more thing with this. This is where this gets really cool. The identity is, I am the I am that creates who we are. Because who you are is you are a creator. That's how powerful you are. I am powerful. Right? You can even say that. No one's watching or paying attention. You can say, I am powerful. And when you say that, it feels good. And the reason it feels good is because it's true. We just forgot how powerful we are because we probably spent most of our life giving our power away to others and unimportant, non-essential things. But you are the person that created this, right? A lot of you guys know what I'm talking about. I know you know what I'm talking about. So here's where this works, and I know I've added so much scribbles to my whiteboard. This is how I draw. There is something you want. I'm gonna do this. I'll use this pen. This is this thing that you want. The way to get the thing that you want is we must be the very thing that this is the natural expression, byproduct of who you are in the world. This result that you want, this outcome, this life, this vision must be the thing that is the very byproduct of who this person is. This natural expression, their natural expression of who they are in the world, their essence, almost as if it's just who I am, causes and creates this. That's why this is so powerful. So you create the goal, and we allow the goal to decide who we are and who we need to become. Does this make sense? So going back here to this question, how does then the seven-figure digital CEO become the seven-figure digital CEO? Well, if we put that at the top as our identity, it becomes very, very clear, very, very simple. They make the decisions, they take the actions, they do the things that seven-figure entrepreneurs and digital CEOs do, and they do that even way before they're making seven figures. And it also makes sense that it's the people that don't grow their business, the people that are struggling, are still taking actions and they're making the decisions that failing entrepreneurs make. It's as simple as that. How are you ever expected to become successful when you don't take the actions and do the things that successful people do, or the way that they do them? Now, in business, we get to overlay this really cool distinction where our identity actually becomes our role. Now, in business, a role is simply defined as a function that someone is responsible for, the value that they bring to the business, okay? So in business, our identity is actually our role. So let me show this to you in action because this is really cool. If I went to any of you right now and I said, how does your org chart look like? Well, some people will go, well, what's an org chart? An org chart is the visual representation of all the roles and functions that exist within your business. And you go, oh, that's easy, James. Here's what it looks like. Whose org chart looks like that right now? It's me. I'm that CEO, baby. That's me right there. And I go, oh, okay, that's your org chart, huh? That's what you think your org chart is. But not really. Not quite. In reality, this is your org chart. There's you, and there's the other roles. And most likely, especially if you're working on way more things than you'd like, it's you in all those roles. You see, the moment you created a business, you didn't create a job. You created an entity, an organization that has multiple roles, whether you like it or not. You guys kind of know what I'm talking about. The moment you're in business, there's a role of customer support, of admin, of tech, of graphic design, copywriting, social media, of being the teacher, the deliverer of the content. Then we want to expand beyond that. It's like advertising, email marketing, right? Website, all these different functions and roles that exist. Are you guys seeing why you are so exhausted and why you're working more than when you had a job and making less? But it goes even further than that, because one of the biggest things, if we understand this whole logical levels and identity piece, and your role in your identity, or your role in your business is your identity, then it's the role you fill in the business that determines the results that you receive. The role you fill in your business will determine the results that you receive. So the question for you now is, what role have you been filling? Because if you spend all your time in the roles down at the bottom, right, at the bottom of the org chart, well, traditionally speaking, for the majority of us, the lower the role on the org chart, the less value it brings to the growth of the business. This is how, very logically, cut and dry, someone could be working as much as you're working and not see the needle move and not see the traction. Because you're staying busy, just like a good, hardworking employee would, but not doing the things that are of the most value. This is a really interesting phenomenon. Is this making sense? Let me know. If I were to ask an employee and an entrepreneur the same question, I would get very different answers. If I ask an employee, how do you make more money? What's your strategy? Most would say something to the lines of, well, you know, I'd have to pick up more shifts, work at more hours, do double time, maybe ask for a promotion, right? That's fine. That's just the way. If they work more, then they'll make more. And so what has happened as an employee is their value compensation is attached to time and effort. This makes sense. And most of us have still within us this like employee paradigm. But you're in business for yourself. So if you're thinking like an employee in your own business, what do you think is going to happen? You're going to fall into that same rut. Who feels like they're doing that? It's just like, I don't get it. Maybe if I just push more, if I just do more, then maybe something will pop. Busyness is one of the ego's most powerful distractions for keeping you safe. Busyness is one of your ego's most effective strategies for keeping you safe. Because as long as you stay busy doing the low-value, non-confronting, familiar and comfortable things, you'll never have the time to do the things that you really need to be doing. If I go to a successful entrepreneur, or if you were to go to me and say, well, James, what's your strategy for making more money? The first answer I'd give is I go, that's easy. I just elevate my role. Huh? Yeah, you elevate your role. We all know that we all are limited by some finite amount of time in a day. So trying to expand that container is the hardest way to grow. But instead, changing where you spend your time and spending your time on higher value activities and higher level roles is how you grow in a business. Period. This is what I did. We're going to talk about this on Training 3 of how I went from 2 to 10 million in 1 year. I basically gave myself the promotion that I didn't know I needed. Here's what's beautiful. The more you do this, the less you work. This is why I say over and over again, this is what this means. The less you do, the more you'll make. You're going to see that to be true by the end of this. The less you do, the more you'll make. Because if you're in the doing, you're in the low value activities. So you're working below your pay grade. We're getting some breakthroughs. That makes me very happy. What role have you been filling? We want to get you to the role of the digital CEO. This is why we created this, because I started observing how I was showing up in my business, and the clients that I was teaching this to were showing up completely differently. When you're the digital CEO, you're in the driver's seat of your business. Your business, there's a big difference, and I hope you get this, between someone who focuses on making money and someone who makes a machine that makes money. Which one are you focusing on? I just want to make some money, or I'm building a machine, making a machine that makes money. The digital CEO knows the latter is far more effective. We are building a machine. We're building a machine that makes money. You are in the driver's seat. You know your numbers. You have clarity. You have purpose. You're cool, calm, and collected. You are the business whisperer for your business. You know what causes the problems and what causes the success. When you can discern the difference between fact and fiction in your life, your performance is going to explode. So we need to get real with ourselves, because to the degree in which you accept what is as your current reality is the degree in which you have the personal power to do something about it. And this is where people's blind spots are already starting to come up. Like I said, how you approach this training gets to be a reflection of how you're showing up in your business. So it's very common for people to say, I'm not ready yet. But most people that get started never felt ready. And what I'd like you to consider, it's not a matter of how ready or not you think you are, but simply a matter of how committed you're willing to be. Commitment is saying yes and going all into yourself. Committed to your business, your vision, your future, your goal, your life. Something beautiful happens on the other side of a decision when you say yes and go all in on yourself. And I hope you're willing to do that, because that's who I like to work with. That's where this gets really fun, because you're willing to do what it takes. I'm going to break down 3 very essential things you guys need to start doing differently so that we are operating from that digital CEO. The reality is business is made up of numbers, and you can't grow what you can't measure. So successful digital CEOs, they know their numbers. Every number is trying to tell you something. And it's just very interesting. The more we get into the numbers, the more you go through this, you will realize, oh my goodness, things that I thought were bad are actually a lot better. And it's just this one missing piece. And if I can change this, everything else improves. And I want to help you a ton with that. So what I want you guys to do right now is grab your dashboard. We are going to start with the dashboard. The goal, of course, is to have this completely finished by the time we finish together in a week. Your one-pager. Now, Stephen Covey, author of 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, said we must begin with the end in mind. So we're going to write down this number first. Now, here's the thing. Don't write it until it appears to you. Don't write it until it comes to you, because most of you guys are going to get in your head. Who's already getting in your head about what to put here? What's realistic, James? What do I even think is possible? We're filtering our dreams through the limitations of our mind. Please don't do that. I'm going to tell you a story, and as I tell you the story, at any moment you can write down that number, because the number I'm looking for is not your 2024 number. It's not your 2025 number. It's your next milestone number. What is the next iteration, milestone, or level of growth that I desire in this business? More is not better, folks. What you truly want, accurately and honestly, is what's better. What do you want? Having a $100 million business doesn't make that a better business than a $1 million business. So write down from a purity of heart, without any filtration or limitation, what it is that you truly want for an annual revenue. This is one of my favorite stories. When I heard this story, it changed my life. And it's a story about Tom Watson. He was the CEO of IBM back in its heyday. I think this was the 80s. It was like before my time. And he took the company, IBM, you remember IBM, from like millions to billions. And so when he retired, he had one of those reporters that have clearly never been in business from the outside in, going, Mr. Watson, what's the secret to your success? Like as if there's just this little magic secret, right? Well, this SOB had an answer. He had a secret. In fact, he had 3 secrets. And when I first heard this, it completely changed everything for me. So I want to share it with you. And by the end of this story, hopefully you will write down this. He said, well, the secret to our success comes down to 3 simple steps. Step number 1, we had to get clear first and foremost. What is the done picture of my business? When an architect or a contractor goes to build a home, they must have a blueprint first. Entrepreneurs don't really do that. They just start building and staying busy. Busy building. Busy little bumblebee building my business. And they don't even know what they're building. But if I stay busy, maybe something will stick. To take the time and say, what is it that I'm really building? This entire thing is the blueprint for your business. What is it I'm building? Stephen Covey began with the end in mind. So he said, step number 1, we had to get clear on what the done version of the business would look like. He said, step number 2, as soon as I knew where we were going to go, what was the destination, I had to get very clear, step 2, on how that business would operate. How does that business operate? What's your number? As soon as you got it, put in the chat box. What does a $200,000 a year business operate at? How do they look? What do they do? How do they make decisions? What's their function in the world? As soon as I knew what we were doing, I needed to know how would that business operate. That's pretty cool. We're going to do that together. But step number 3 was the mind-blowing emoji for me. Step number 3 was when I put the breakthrough in the chat box of my life. Because he said, step number 3, I realized that if we were ever going to get this, that we would have to start acting this way now from the very beginning. Ain't that the truth? What's your next level of business? You guys have your number. Next line right here. Without thinking, what does that give you? Write it on your paper. What does that give you? Get really specific. I want you to look for something that drives you, that reignites the passion. What is it? What emotion or feeling are you present to as you put your attention on what that finally gives you? Because if you're like me, most of you guys are not really motivated by the money, which you shouldn't be, because the money is simply a tool. Okay? Now my question and my challenge for you, whatever you wrote down and whatever emotion is attached to that, can you give yourself a piece of that right now? Remember step 3. We have to start acting that way right now. Most of us have a to-do list. Most people are running from a to-do list, right? And one of the first things you realize is like, this to-do list just never ends, right? Oh my gosh, and we just keep staying busier and busier. And the moment you take a few things off the to-do list, we keep adding more things on. So we're going to do a little exercise that I think is going to help you. But really quickly, what does he mean by the 5%? So it's as simple as this. What I've seen as a really interesting phenomenon in my career and tenure is that it's really just about 5% of all the activities that you are doing, all the activities that are in your business that attribute to 95% of the results that you want. They're just 5% of activities that are worth your time. They're just 5% of activities that will actually make you money. Who already knows this to be true? Who already knows that this actually makes sense and I see this? I'm not saying that the business doesn't need to be doing a lot of these, but I'm just saying if you don't do these, the business is probably not going to make any money. And we can boil down the revenue-generating activities to just 5%. And how do we figure out what those are? Well, I know deep down in your heart of hearts, you already know what those are, don't you? Yeah, but we'll talk about them. So we're going to do an exercise. You're going to take your number that you had on your dashboard. So I did 250. You're going to take that number, grab your calculator. You all have calculators on your phones and your computers. And you're going to divide that number, now listen very carefully, by 2080. What's this 2080 number? 2080 is the number of hours that one would work in a given year if they worked 40-hour work weeks, 52 weeks out of a year. If you would like to work half of that, then you would use half of this, 1,040. When you have that number, please put it into the chat box. For me, this is your new milestone divided by 2080. What is this number? Listen very carefully to this, because this is a massive game changer. This number that you wrote down is the decision point. It's the decision point in your business for what you say yes to and what you say no to. What you'll notice is that there's a to-do list. But on this to-do list, there's 2 other criteria. The time it takes and the value of each activity. And what you'll notice in a simplistic sense is that we have low-value activities and we have high-value activities. We have $10 an hour activities. We have $10,000 activities. We have $100 an hour activities, and we have $1,000 an hour activities. What is an example of a $10 an hour activity in your business? What is an example of something that someone else could do for $10 or less in your business? A low value activity. This number right here is where you access true change in your business, because anything that you focus on that is less than this is why it's costing you so much money. The beautiful thing about all of this, guys, is the math will always math. If you spend all year, the next 12 months, working on $10 an hour activities, don't be surprised if you don't make more than $20,000 in a year, because that's what 2080 times $10 equals. If you want to make more, we must start saying no to the busy low value activities in your business that don't make you money. Because if you spend all day doing things that don't make you money, how would you ever be expected to make any? And we need to start saying yes to the things that are worth our time. Does this make sense? Because it needs to. It absolutely needs to. And the math always maths. This becomes our decision point. And it's very scary when I start talking about outsourcing or delegating or taking things off your plate. People get really scared. But everything that you say no to yourself, right? I'm going to have someone else do this. You get to say yes to these items. What you should be really scared about is if you say, you know what, I'm going to do this $10 an hour task and it took 10 hours. Okay, so what is that, $100? So it's actually costed you $1,100 to do that yourself. Because your time is 120 times 10 is 1,200. 1,200 minus 100 is 1,100. So you should be more afraid in your business of wasting your precious time, energy, and money doing everything yourself because it's costing you way more. I know this sounds counterintuitive and backwards, but this is the way out. Okay? It's costing you more to do it yourself. Our parents' attitude, if you want it done right, do it yourself, does not apply to the $5, $10 an hour low-value activities. Okay? Making sense? Okay. So let's go on to the third one. And by the way, by the end of this training, you'll know very clearly what's worth your time and what isn't. Number 3, successful digital CEOs, they build their business like a machine. You know, I see a lot of struggling entrepreneurs are just focusing on making money. Maybe even a lot of you guys here are just focusing on making money. But that's not the right approach. You want to focus on making a machine that makes money. And if you don't understand the difference yet, you will, because it is a world of differences. If it's just me focused on making money, it's a machine with one gear, no leverage, no scalability. It's if I work and I make money. The moment I stop, the money stops. That's not a machine. That's just you in a glorified job, which is fine. But if we want to have a real business, then we need to start looking at it like a machine. And the best way I look at a machine is from one of my favorite movies, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. And when we're in Willy Wonka's chocolate factory, he has all these machines. And in every single machine, there's like 2 things. There's like an input, and then there's an output. So we're treating our business this way. And the output, what comes out, is income and impact, right? There's always an exchange happening. So we have to be willing to give something. And so the 2 primary tools that we have is time and energy and money. And when we put any combination of these, we get this. Now, if this is a 1-to-1 ratio, you put in 1 hour of time and you get 1 output of income, then you have to continue to put in more time to get more of this. And what we want to do is break away from that as much as possible. So instead of 1 gear, these are my gears, we're going to have multiple. And part of the business operating system, this is all training 3 that you're going to walk away with, is the 5 gears that need to be in place in your business so we can continue to decrease this as we increase this. Leverage must happen in here. Don't focus on making money, focus on making a machine that makes money, and it will make more than what you are putting in, okay? We're gonna walk away with this training knowing the whole machine. I'm gonna build it out after each of or during each training, okay? So just to recap really quickly, so you guys are starting to get a sense of how our digital CEOs do things differently. First and foremost, you're clear on a vision for your life and business. The digital CEO is also aware of their business needs. They know which metrics actually matter. They begin to create and have the structure that their business needs so they can have simplicity. And they focus on the 5% of activities that generate 95% of the results. These are some things that I want you guys to start to consider and chew on as we progress through these series, because we're about to dive into a lot of nitty-gritty in the next 2 trainings. Real quick, in a moment, I'm going to leave you guys a really powerful homework. I explained to you this powerful process for causing change in your life, the logical levels. You're going to do this twice. The first time for your homework is you're going to do it from the bottom up, how you have been, your current environment, current actions, current skills, beliefs, and current identity. So this will be you from the bottom up, writing down a few things into each thing. You just draw a little pyramid and just put some words and phrases on this. You know, like the snapshot of your business. Well, it's been at this level. I've got this many followers. I'm doing this. What have you been doing? Rate your current skills levels. Where are they at? Current beliefs and identity. And then where you have an opportunity to really see the gap, and hopefully then we close that gap, is when we do it again, but this time going down. You're going to start with this new identity that you're stepping into, with this role of being the digital CEO at that next revenue level. From there, we're going to identify what beliefs does that person have that's congruent with that identity. The more of those you can get down on paper, the better. What skills have they developed? What skills have they mastered? What actions, choices, decisions, behaviors are they making and taking? And what does their environment look like? Every time our students do this, they see such a contrast. There's so much clarity, and it doesn't take that much time. So I really hope you guys will take the time to do that, because the train has left the station, and we are continuing next Tuesday. That is the 11th, and we are just diving even more. This is just scratching the surface. I'm going to introduce you to the first gear of your business machine. Identify the 4 phases of growth. Like I said, growth happens in phase. So you have to identify what phase you're in so you know what plan to have for that current phase. I'm going to give you, this is like my favorite part. It is 6 steps, 6-step process for creating money on demand. We're going to take a revenue goal and create a work back plan with an offer baked in, and it's going to be really fun. So much more coming your way here on the Rise of the Digital CEO. Let me know what your biggest takeaway is, what piece you're going to implement and integrate first into your business. Day 1 is done. We are 1/3 of the way through this training. So much more to do. Thank you guys. Great job again. And I'll see you in a couple of days for part 2 of the Rise of the Digital CEO.